Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is Nick Kalikas. And of course, we're joined by James Krause. We're going to break down all the action for this Saturday's UFC Vegas 47 event. Jack Hermansson, Sean Strickland. But like we always do off the top, we want to remind you to check out BetDSI. Take advantage of the offer we have going on right now. If you use the promo code UFC, you get a signed autograph photo from James Krause, and you also get a match deposit bonus. It's a great offer. Take advantage of it while you can, because no one else is doing this, right? Like we say every week. We didn't have a card to recap last week. We did sort of a future show. We're going to get into the main event. We're going to start here on Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. But before we get our picks, as always, we have Nick on here. Nick, any sort of interesting line movement here? I've seen since basically this fight was open, Strickland being the favorite. Have you noticed any movement on that end for the main event this Saturday?
Yeah, market wide, it opened around minus 175 or so, and then hit the sports books in some places around minus 200. Behind the counter, I personally have seen sharp action come in and hit the Strickland sign, causing the line to go up to minus 223 here in Vegas or so. So there is action coming into the Strickland side. A lot of sharp action is the reason why the line is moving towards him as well. So this is definitely an intriguing fight because, again, I think it's going to be one of those cases where we will see some action on Hermansson, especially he's performed relatively well as of late. I think he's always improving. So a lot of people are going to think he's a live dog, but early on, the action is one way towards Strickland.
So Krause, who are you liking in this main event? Strickland's the favorite, Hermansson the underdog. Which way are you leaning?
I mean, it's tough for me to bet against Sean Strickland. I mean, I'm not a fan of the antics and stuff like that, but the dude can fight. You know, he can fight, he can grapple, he's very well rounded, he's got good cardio. And what people really don't talk about with him is he's very, very defensively sound. Like he does a good job rolling off of his lead side shoulder. Catching punches before they hit, and he is durable when he does get hit. So he's got some pop, he's got some power, he pressures really well. He's got a unique style that makes him very difficult to fight because he's well-rounded. He can go anywhere. He stops the takedown really good. His wrestling is really good. His boxing is really good. He's durable. He's got good cardio. You know, he's kind of the complete package. And you know, with Hermansson lately, I feel like we've seen kind of he's really good, but I personally haven't seen a ton of consistency from him. Like I see one time he looks like a world beater, and then the next time he doesn't look great. I think when you're going up against and for me, I feel like it's fairly obvious that the only way for him to win is to grapple, and him out grappling Strickland for 25 minutes, I think is going to be tough. You know what I mean? Like I think Strickland's going to put on good punches, and yeah, I think Strickland is very similar to Vettori. You know, like they're kind of like they're just good across the board, and I think you'll see a similar stylistic matchup like that.
Really interesting fight. Yeah, you mentioned it there with Strickland. I think that Uriah Hall fight really kind of opened people's eyes up because that was obviously a 5-round fight. It was a fight where Strickland was pushing the pace and really getting in the face of Hall and sort of taking it to him. And we saw something similar when Jack Hermansson fought Jared Cannonier. Now, granted, Cannonier has a lot more power than Strickland, but still he sort of bullied Hermansson in that fight and ended up finishing him in that one. I think people forget about that fight. It was a few fights ago, but still, kind of a way to beat Hermansson. And Hermansson's last fight against Edmund Shabazian, if you watch that first round, it was actually pretty close. And then, of course, like it's been the last couple of fights with Edmund Shabazian, he sort of just ran out of steam, and Hermansson took advantage and ended up winning the fight. But it's not like he destroyed him round to round. I felt like that was a fight that I think was, very much more winnable for Hermansson. Still, he got the win, but I wasn't as impressed with that win as maybe some other people were. The Vettori fight was interesting because if you remember, he went through like 3 different opponents, right? It was supposed to be Darren Till, then Kevin Holland, then he gets Vettori at the last minute, and then he breaks his orbital bone like early in the fight. So I think if there's one thing you can look at in that fight was the fact that Hermansson did get finished. And, Vettori does have power. He's able to put you away a little bit. And the fact that Hermansson went 5 rounds and still survived with one eye, I thought was impressive. And the reason I bring that up is because I don't know if we'll see a finish in this fight. Strickland, at middleweight anyways, other than Brendan Allen, which maybe his best performance in the octagon so far, finishing him. I think, most likely I could see this going in the later rounds for a late finish or potentially a decision here. But how I see this fight is I think it's going to stay standing, and I think Strickland's going to have the edge there in the striking. And you mentioned it there, Krause. I think Hermansson's only way is if he can go out there and submit you. And look, he's done it. I mean, look at that win over Calvin Gastelum. Still, no one else has been able to do that to Gastelum, and he took him out there pretty quickly. It's entirely possible. But just, talking to people within Strickland's circle, even someone like Sam Alvey, he says that Strickland's, ground game is very much underrated. He doesn't have to use it because he likes to strike more. So we'll see if that gets tested in this fight. But I think even so, his takedown defense is going to be good enough. I'm liking Sean Strickland here to get it done in the main event. Let's hear from some other fighters as to who they're picking in Saturday's main event, and then we'll get on to the co-main event.
Yeah, I think Strickland wins that fight, or can. I think he's probably favored too. I would say I don't want to speak in absolutes here. I think if Hermansson can, if he can make it a grappling fight and get him into some grappling exchanges and slow him down a little bit. Sean Strickland's a tough bird, man. He's a tough dude to deal with. He never backs up. He's willing to eat punches, to give punches. Not an incredible power puncher, and I think that's how he kind of ropes people in. I think people feel some of those punches and are willing to take some of those to try to give their own. He's got good head movement. He's just out of range a lot. Man, he's just really, really quietly, got himself on a pretty good streak here and beating a couple really tough guys. So another one of those guys, you can't just listen to what he says and discredit what he's doing in there, because, he's, you would think like, well, he stands straight up and down. He just walks forward, just kick his legs. Well, like that hasn't worked, or just take him down. And for a while now, that hasn't worked. At one point in time, that was true. But it's a really interesting matchup. I think Jack Hermansson, needs to get back on track a little bit. And I think this is a decent enough matchup for him to be able to do that. So if he can create some grappling exchanges, I don't think that anyone thinks Jack is going to stand in front of him and win those striking exchanges. It's not really his thing. But if he can force some grappling exchanges and get Sean thinking, I think he can give him some problems.
I like Hermansson, like the striking growth that he has shown. I think out of all the guys who do jiu-jitsu, like at a high level, like him, Oliveira, a few other, I think he has the best hands. Out of all like the really, really good jiu-jitsu guys, I think he has the best hands. And he knows, he's almost like me. He's going to strike with you just enough to get you to forget about the grappling. And then that's when he grapples. And when he takes guys down, he doesn't have as many takedowns as me, but I don't think that's because he doesn't have the skill. I think it's because he's so good at, once he gets down there, you don't get back up. I think he gets the takedown in the first round. I don't think he gets the finish early, but I think eventually he drags him down, he gasses him out with the grappling, and he's able to find the finish.
John Strickland, he's hot right now, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to be said about when someone's really confident and someone's really hot, when they got a lot of momentum. You know what I'm saying? And right now, Jack Hermansson, Sean Strickland, he's a crazy dude. You know what I'm saying? But he's on fire right now, and I don't think Jack Hermansson's the guy to cool him off. You know what I mean? He's totally capable of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's absolutely capable of doing it. I just don't think it's going to happen on February 5th.
All right, so there you have it. Really exciting main event. Let's talk about the co-main event. Kind of an interesting one here. You've got Puna Soriano taking on Nick Maximov. Puna Soriano, the betting favorite right now, -196. Nick Maximov, +162. Interesting that this is the co-main event. We'll maybe talk about that in a sec. But Nick, anything you've noticed on any of the line movement when this fight got announced?
Yeah, it hasn't been too drastic on this one. I mean, I don't think this is a fight that a lot of people are going to be overly anxious to bet. So we haven't seen, heavy action coming either way. So, yeah, nothing significant to note. It's sitting around -200 or so, I think, market wide. And I think it's tricky. I mean, Kraus can let us know how he feels about this fight, but I think it's kind of a head scratcher in some ways.
Yeah, I personally don't see it. I don't. This was one of those fights that came up to me, and I was like when it came up, I looked at it, and I was like, that seems odd that the line would be set there. And then, if anything, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the movement side of things, if anything, I've seen it lean towards Maximov a little bit. And I thought you would be seeing Puna at 250 plus here, because you're talking about a guy in Maximov who's relatively untested, and I mean, he hasn't fought anybody. He fought Cody Brundage, who took that fight on like 3 days' notice, and at the end of that, Brundage was putting hands on him, and Maximov was taking him down. I just don't see how he's going to get. I don't see him getting Puna down. Puna is not those guys. He's not an easy guy to get down, and he's got big pop in his punches, man. Like for me, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. Maybe I'm an idiot here, but the line just seems way off to me. I'm going to slam Puna. I am. I already did.
There you go. Kraus has got his pick here. I agree with you. Like, sort of from looking at this on paper, this does seem like a fight that should definitely favor Puna Soriano, just from the amount of UFC experience he's had, just the knockout power that he possesses. I mean, we really haven't seen Maximov, tested in that regard as far as, fighting a really good power puncher. Like, we've seen Puna knock out, a number of key fighters. But I want to go back to that last fight against Brendan Allen. I think that was a fight that really was sort of going to determine where Puna's future would go. And he didn't pass that test. Brendan Allen took him out, got it done. I know Brendan Allen's very good, but I'm just saying there was kind of that question, is Puna a ranked fighter? I think that showed at that point anyways, maybe he isn't. With Maximov, same sort of deal. I mean, he hasn't fought great competition. He didn't look that great in the Brundage fight. I just wonder, if he does get this to the ground, he's known as being a grappler. Can he utilize that? And also, I mean, the guy trains with the Diaz brothers. He's got good cardio. I don't know. Like, I think there's some interesting things here with this fight, and he's a little bit younger too. The other thing with Puna is that he's had a lot of injuries over the years. If you look at his fights in the UFC, there's been some gaps there, and there was some concussion issues early in his UFC tenure. I don't know if those are behind him at this point, but that is an area for concern. And then you look at the 2 wins that he has, the competition. I mean, Oscar, whatever his name is, he's not even in the UFC anymore. Dusko Todorovic, I think he's still in the UFC, but again, not like an amazing win. And he took those guys out pretty early. So we'll have to see. I'm going Puna in this one as well. Like, logic tells me pick him. He's probably going to win. He might even win by knockout. But I don't know. Like, this is just a tricky one to me because I think there's still a lot of potential on the table here for Nick Maximov. And you mentioned the fact that he fought Brundage on short notice. He was supposed to fight Carl Roberson. That was a tailor-made fight for him to win because Roberson's lost I don't know how many fights by submission, and now you're fighting a wrestler in Brundage. I just think even on his end, it was kind of a mix-up. Like, it wasn't a good fight for him either with the opponent switch-up. So I'm going to give Maximov a little bit of credit here.
We're talking about like when we're kind of discrediting Puna's quality of opponent, right? You're saying, well, he's not even in the UFC. But like, if you go down Maximov's, I'm looking at my phone right now, is why I keep looking off. You're talking about 0-2, 0-1, 0-0, 1-10, grappling, 1-1, and then he beat Oscar Cota, who's a 11-2 heavyweight though on Contender Series, and that match was tailor made for him to win. I'm not taking anything away from it, but like. We're talking about level of competition in the UFC versus level of competition, period. You know what I mean? There is levels to it. And
Puna's fought the better fighters. I want to be clear about that. I'm just saying that I also think that just because he's knocked those guys out, it's not like he's knocking out, I don't know, like Calvin Gastelum. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same in my opinion.
I think you brought up the Brendan Allen fight. I think he thought he was going to get Allen out of there early. And I think he got really tired in the first because he tried to get him out of there early. And I think that was a mistake on his part. Obviously, hindsight's always 20/20, but we're talking about a guy that has got one fight in the UFC that he had noticed for, and he fought somebody that took it on. And I'm not discrediting Maximov. I actually cornered against him when he fought Brundage. I've cornered Brundage in that fight. He's good. He's talented. He's got some really good grappling series. But man, Puna's a veteran. He's been around the block. He's not a veteran. I shouldn't call him a veteran. He's been in there with some veterans, and he knows. He's been in the game long enough to know. And I think he's undervalued in this fight, even at -2.
Yeah, it looks like from a movement perspective, it did open around -170. Now, like I said, it's settled around -200. So it did get bet up, but we did see some action back on the dog too. So like I said, it's nothing heavy as far as the betting window goes yet. There's 2 action, and I don't think it's going to get too carried away either way. But really what it comes down to, as you guys said, I mean, if he could get the fight to the floor, he's got a big advantage. If he doesn't, then obviously Soriano has the advantage as well. So it's really who can implement their game plan and have success doing so is going to win probably the fight, right? So Soriano's a favorite for a reason. And obviously you guys think he could probably stuff the takedowns and keep it upright, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you look at who he trains with at Extreme, I would think that, takedown defense is on the menu when it comes to training partners and stuff. So there's that. And one other thing I'll just mention, we talked about it there. Maximov is a training partner of the Diaz brothers. I don't know if they're going to mention that sort of leading into the fight because this is a co-main event, but I guarantee you there's going to be money coming in on Maximov just because of that. It's no different when Adesanya's teammates fight, same sort of deal. And, obviously that'll be a thing next week. But just something to keep in mind sort of going into the fight there. Let's get to our prop bet of the week. Kraus, you got anything interesting?
No, you start us out.
All right. I'll start out here.
I always go first. I feel like the pressure gets put on me, man. Like,
it's fine. No, it's all good. I can come up in the clinch here. It's all good. So my prop bet of the week, this is not something I'm going to just play straight because obviously there's not a ton of value here. You guys know I love my overs and my decision props, but in this one, I definitely like the over in the Alexis Davis and Julia Stolarenko fight. Alexis Davis typically never finishes her fights. I mean, the data's there. Yeah, it's not like I'm just making this up. Like, you got to go look at her last couple fights. They all go the distance. Her last last finish, I was at that fight when she fought Sarah Kaufman. She was losing the first round and then came back in the second and submitted Sarah Kaufman. I think it's actually the last time Sarah's been finished in a fight too. So it's been forever, and that was in Canada when the UFC used to come back here and do events. So that just shows you how long it's been. So I like the over in that fight. I mean, you could take Davis by decision as well, but let's just go with the over in case something weird happens. Solorenko's had a really weird UFC career. She's hasn't really lived up to the hype that she had when she was the Invicta champion. So again, you're only getting minus 263 there. So I'm going to parlay that with Shavkat Rakhmonov. This guy, I think, is the future. He's got a tough test here in Carlton Harris, but I think Rakhmonov minus 233. You parlay that with the over in this fight. I'm pretty sure that hits. So that's my prop bet of the week. Kraus, what do you think of that? And you got anything interesting?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm gonna go with Erosa versus Peterson over 2.5 rounds. And if you're feeling froggy, maybe even Erosa by decision. I think Erosa is going to show out in this fight. I think he's finally coming into his own. He kind of started out a little rough, and I think he's finally found what he was looking for. But when you look at a guy, Ocho Peterson, man, the dude is tough as nails. So I think it's going to be one-way action for Erosa for sure. But Peterson has shown over and over again that he can hang around with the tough guys, take those big shots, keep coming. He's got good cardio. He's got a great chin. And he's not a chump, he's not a chump, but I do think this is going to be one-way action for Erosa. I just think I could see it going to decision.
So I'm a little I totally get that. And that was one of my thoughts going into this. And we talked about this off air leading into this. Erosa's a lot bigger than Peterson. Peterson used to fight at bantamweight. I think people forget when he was in LFA, he fought as a bantamweight, came to the UFC as a featherweight. Erosa could easily fight at lightweight and beyond. Like he's a big guy for the weight class. So I think that will help him in this fight. My only concern here is, and I know you said he's turned a corner and I agree with that, he does get knocked out a lot. And Peterson, I know he hasn't, knocked out a lot of guys lately, but there's just in the back of my head that worry that maybe he catches them and puts them out. So that's the only reason I'm not 100% with you there. But again, if you look at sort of the data like we've been looking at, typically, Peterson's fights, go the distance. I mean, Chase Hooper, he fought in his last fight. That's a fight he should have finished. He didn't. He ended up getting the decision there. So entirely possible it goes that way. But I think Erosa just being the bigger guy and a little bit more experience, I think he's going to get it done. But I don't know. I'm just a little worried that maybe Peterson throws something out there and knocks him out. We'll see. So, Nick, what do you think of those bets there that we just mentioned?
I like them. I think you guys are on the right track for sure. For prop selections, that's a way to go in some of these difficult fights. I think if you can't decide which way to go, like meaning that the line might be a little bit too high for you on a favorite, then you got to look for some props for sure. And that's what we're going to do. Make sure you check out my prop bets. It's going to be on UFC
on the line.
Pass, of course. Yep. UFC on the line. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We go live for this event. So make sure you get on Fight Pass at that time, and I'll show you. Yanni and I will have our prop bets, of course, and Brendan Fitzgerald is going to be on with us as well. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, and remember that actually saved us a few weeks ago. We had the Moreno and Figueroa over, and that fight was obviously close. So again, if you're kind of going 50-50 on a fight, it's never too bad to look at some of those the over props and things of that nature. Let's get to our bet of the week. I'll go first, Kraus, because I don't want to put any pressure on you today. So again, Canadian bias aside, I know I picked a Canadian on the last card. I'm going with another Canadian here this week. Hakeem Dawodu right now is minus 172. You could just play that straight up, but you know me, I like getting closer to plus money. So I'm going to parlay Hakeem Dawodu with Miles Johns, and Miles Johns is minus 200. So that works out to about plus 130. I like Hakeem because I think this fight's going to stay standing. I think Hakeem's a better striker. I think he's faster. And Hakeem has shown time and time again that he can get it done. He lost his last fight because he got out-wrestled. I don't think Mike Trezano is going to out-wrestle Hakeem Dawodu in this fight. So I see him winning the fight. Not to mention Hakeem's already got a win over one of Trezano's teammates, Julio Arce. So maybe sort of, Tiger Schulman maybe sort of, figured those guys out. I don't know. And then Miles Johns, I think, is one of the most underrated bantamweights in the division. He's got one loss. He was knocked out. I think, that fight happens again. It could have a different result here. But Miles Johns is solid. He's been finishing a lot of guys in his career, and he's fighting John Castaneda, who's been off for a very long time due to I know his last fight he was out due to COVID, so he hasn't fought in a bit. John did mention to me he was working a bit with Pat Barry and Rose Namajunas heading into that fight, which is good, but Miles is a killer. Another Fortis guy on this card like Steven Peterson. I think Miles wins that. So again, you parlay those two together, you get plus 130. Kraus, your thoughts on that, and what's your bet of the week?
I like all those, man. You're really good at sneaking that plus money in there and finding ways to get creative with value. I'm actually going to go with 3 picks here.
Nice.
I like all these. I'm going to go with Puna. I'm going to go Puna straight up. I think he's sitting there right at minus 200. I think you can get him as low as like minus 185 on some. What DSI has him at minus 200, right?
Yeah, minus 196 right now. Yeah,
minus 196. I think there's value there. I'm actually going to go. I have 2 other dogs, which I don't really play dogs that much. So I see Nick smiling. I'm going to go with my first dog is I'm going to go with Chidi Njokwani over
Okay.
Andre Barrial. Chidi is the thing that concerns me is Barrial taking a beating in round 1 and pressuring him, because Chidi has had cardio issues in the past, but that dude is a monster striker, and he's got good power. And I think he has improved his mistakes, which has been grappling and cardio in the past. I think he's definitely improved those things. I'm really excited to watch this guy. I fought on him with him on a card. He beat the hell out of one of my teammates on RFA. So he's really good. We've been following each other for a long time. I'm a big fan of his. He's a really good striker. I think he's going to show out in this fight. I think this fight is tailor-made for him to really show out. And then my last one, I typically stay away from my guys, but I really like this matchup. Jason Witt, he's sitting at plus money right now as well. Stylistic, I think he's a tough matchup for Phil Rowe, wrestler. As long as he doesn't get clipped on the way in, I definitely see him cruising. If this fight goes the distance, I do see Jason Witt bringing the decision win home.
I like both those dogs, actually. And, I'm Canadian, and I've seen Mark fight live before. I remember when he fought for TKO, I got to see one of his title fights, but that to me was a 50-50 fight. So it's interesting going with Chidi. And one thing I got to mention, I'm sure most people know this, but I mean, Chidi used to fight in Bellator. He fought some really good guys in that promotion. I don't know why he had to go in Contender Series. That's one that I'm still scratching my head at, because if you look at the amount of fights he has, he's very experienced. So that's one I could see happening, and you bring up a lot of good points with Barrio. As far as the Jason Witt fight, a little insight that I kind of just noticed the other day. I know Phil Rowe was supposed to do a podcast. Well, Nick, Dan Levy. He was supposed to do Dan Levy's show last night, and he couldn't do it because I guess he couldn't talk because of the weight cut. So I know the weight cut's not going that great for Phil Rowe. So another reason to maybe like Witt here. Again, like Kraus mentioned, if he can hit him on the button, maybe if Rowe's having a tough cut, maybe he takes advantage of that. But Rowe is very big for the weight class, so we'll see if Wick can get on the inside. But I think those are 2 solid options, because those are 2 fights that I do see as kind of 50-50 going either way. So I'm with you there with the dogs barking. So all right, as we usually do, got to remind people before we get out of here to make sure you take advantage of the offer we got going on at BetDSI. Use the code UFC when you sign up. You get the match deposit bonus. You get the signed photo from James Kraus. Gentlemen, anything else we want to plug before we get out of here? Kraus, I guess you're going to be heading out for the fights, right? For Witt, or you? Oh, you're heading out tomorrow, so busy schedule.
I head out tomorrow for Witt, and then Sunday we have looking for a fight on my show on Fight Pass.
Cool.
And Nick and I are looking to do this show where we're kind of doing the same thing only on the Fight Pass show. So if I can play on my own show, there's going to be big problems for these sports books out there.
There you go.
I like it.
And Nick, how about your Bengals getting it done? How excited are you? I mean, we got to mention this. It's usually at the end we talk about the Bengals, so it's been sort of a theme the last couple of weeks. But they've been looking good.
Yeah, no, it's been a trend. Thank God. It's amazing to see. They're a young team, obviously, so we've had the ball bounce our way, so to speak, along the way. Got a tough matchup in the Super Bowl, but just glad to be here. I feel like at this point we're playing with house money, literally. So it should be an exciting Super Bowl. Glad we're able to cash some tickets. Again, it wasn't really like a sharp sort of bet or whatnot. It ended up working out. But again, I'm a Bengals fan, so I'm going to root for them the whole way. And of course, my money's going on the Bengals on the Super Bowl as well. So hopefully they get it done.
And hopefully everyone cashes those bets this weekend. It's UFC Vegas 47, Hermansson, Strickland. Hope you guys enjoyed the card. We'll see you guys soon. For myself, Nick Kalikas, James Kraus, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you soon.